Oh, Jesus. This might be white. Okay, there we go. Does it look the best? I'm not gonna lie. Here we go. Oh, that's rough, man. Hello, my people. Today, I'd like to venture into something a little divisive. And when I say a little, well, I mean it. It's not that big of a deal. But it really annoys me that I've created a wonderful cocktail that everyone seems to hate but me. Now, when I start prodding for details on why they don't like the drink, it always seems to come back to these here Angostura cocoa bitters. So let's talk about what this drink is, and as many around me exclaimed, "Why would you make this?" It's good, I swear. Then I'll show you how you can enjoy it at home. And I implore you, please do this. Let me know if I'm crazy or if it's everyone else. Pretty sure it's everyone else. It couldn't be me. It just couldn't be me. And if you stay to the end, I'll pull you into the surprisingly confusing rabbit hole that I fell down from just reading a single phrase on one of my bottles. This drink came after months of being haunted by the chocolate bitters bottle, mocking me from my bar because I just couldn't find anything to use it for that was decent. Which is what I get for impulse buying it. I was at a personal favorite store of mine, World Market, when I saw it. If you haven't heard of it, like I hadn't until about a year ago, World Market's a eclectic store that sells all sorts of things, but the good stuff's in the back. That's where their international food section is, and is where I found the European orange KitKat that also inspired another cocktail of mine that you can check out here. This section is where I first saw the Angostura chocolate bitters, which, to be honest, are pretty widely available in the States. It's not like it's some rare find at a niche international store, but I couldn't help but buy it and run home to make all sorts of... oh, God, I didn't consider that. Usually I buy stuff for a reason, with things in mind, at least one drink that I wanted to make with it, but this, not so much. This was pure impulse. At first, I was like, well, let me try substituting it for other bitters in some cocktails I make, and this led to some pretty mediocre results. So another couple weeks went by, and it sat there, on my bar, mocking me. Well, that's overdramatic. Honestly, I forgot about it until one day I was on my exercise bike, and it occurred to me that I still hadn't used them for anything. So I literally just Googled how to use Angostura chocolate bitters. And what I stumbled across was some sort of marketing pamphlet that they had created back in 2020, and it was filled with recipes. Interestingly enough, not just for drinks, they had a lot of uses for food. Though I am still scarred by this chocolate bean soup in a shot glass. I already don't have the best relationship with the beans. I don't need to add chocolate and start shooting them like tequila. As I was looking through the pamphlet, I was seeing quite a few drinks that looked interesting enough to try, so then I got off the exercise bike and immediately forgot about them all. I have no idea why. I must have gotten distracted by something, and all those interesting drinks fell right out of my brain. Side note though, I would still like to make some of those drinks in there. Let me know if you'd be interested in seeing that. So a few more weeks go by, and the bitters are still at my bar, forgotten, and yes, I'm aware that chocolate bitters aren't that hard to use, but sometimes I struggle. Cut me some slack. Instead, I had gone off on the idea of wondering what I could mix with Tonic. I had the thought to try Umeshu and make a low-alcohol spritzer. It was pretty good, but just pretty good. It was missing something. And that's when it finally occurred to me. Use the chocolate bitters. It would add some deeper flavor, offset the sweetness, all around add some, as their website calls it, sumptuous diversity. Wow, sumptuous diversity. What a noble goal. Anyway, I did, and it turned out great.
In my opinion.
Because when I excitedly went to make it for my friends and family, well, they disagreed. No one seemed to have an issue with just the Umeshu and the Tonic. They liked that. But once I added the chocolate bitters, they beat me. They beat me for what I had done. I'm talking 5 or 6 people here. I was shocked. I was scared. Alone. Which is why I had the idea to show you. Yes, you. How to make this so you can let me know who's really right here. Ooh, I hope it's me. Like most tonic-based drinks, we'll be building this in a highball glass. And for my Umeshu, I'll be using 2 ounces of Choya, which you can also use Takara Plum, which has sort of a lighter, sweeter flavor, but I prefer the richer raisininess of Choya. And remember the color of this bottle, it'll be important later. Next, this ice will make me look like the biggest Butterfingers in the world, and yes, this is real. I really did get that close to almost dropping the ice cube. I like to use 3 big cubes because it makes my drink feel fancy, and no, the ice isn't clear. I frankly just don't have the space in my freezer for that. Now for the tonic, I like Fever Tree, but hey, Great Value brand is a great choice too. And I'll pour it down the spoon because the fact that this is even possible is endlessly entertaining to me. Supposedly it helps keep the carbonation. I don't know how true that actually is. Finally, our last ingredient, your old friend, my biological father. Angostura Cocoa Bitters. So here's the downside of all that ice. It's kind of in the way and makes stashing my bitters a mess, but it's okay, I still like it. No one's gonna change my mind. Add our straw, and there you have it, a chocolate plum and tonic. Now, you can leave the bitters floating on top if you want a sweeter start and a more bitter finish, or you can mix it in if you want something a little bit more balanced. I like to do somewhere in the middle because I still like to have some evolution to it, but I also don't want to be hit like a brick with the cocoa bitters right at the end. Now that we have our drink, let's venture down the rabbit hole. Remember how I said I had also used Takara Plum Umeshu for this drink? Well, I was looking at my bottles, trying to decide which to use for this video, when I noticed that the Takara Plum bottle said Premium White Wine Beverage. White wine? I didn't think that was an Umeshu. I thought it was just wine made out of plums, plum wine. Same as Umeshu, right? Yeah, well, kind of. It's blurry and it depends on who you ask. After I noticed this detail on the Takara Plum bottle, I started reading the rest of it a little more closely, and that's when I realized not only did it have a white wine base, but it also didn't say it was Umeshu, like anywhere on the bottle. It didn't even say it was plum wine. It was very careful to always refer to itself as plum flavored wine, with like 8 asterisks and a couple of those cross dealies. I grabbed my Choya bottle and started reading its labels more closely, looking for some answers. What I noticed first was that this bottle was willing to face the legal scrutiny of actually calling itself Umeshu. But then, just to the side of this, it also called itself plum wine. Unlike the lid that told me I should be pronouncing it Umeshu? Umeshu. This actually made sense to me. This was Umeshu, which was the same thing as plum wine, I think. Still, what I really wanted was a complete list of ingredients, so I started with the definition. Traditionally, Umeshu is made with 3 things: unripe ume, aka Japanese plums, sugar, and shochu, which is a Japanese spirit made by distilling sweet potatoes, sugarcane, or a variety of grains. And let me tell you, there are so many different types of shochu. This is its own deep rabbit hole that I'm going to just gently sidestep for today. Real quick, a fun fact about the Ume Plums Umeshu: they're actually slightly poisonous when eaten raw, so don't do that. They also taste bad, but I feel like the poison's a bigger deal. So knowing what Umeshu was traditionally made out of, I went to Choya's website to see if I could find more detail on what my bottle was made out of. And I've got to say, they offer way more products than I thought, and I'd love to try them, especially the Ume from the Bio Farm. When I found the product page for my bottle, unfortunately, it didn't provide much info, but I did learn, interestingly enough, that it's exclusive to the US. Weird to think that my bottle might be some exclusive rarity to a Japanese person. One thing the product page did show me was some cocktail recipes, one of which had cocoa bitters in it. Ha! Vindication. Feels good. Still, since finding the ingredients was a bust, upon Googling it, I found a blog post from Choya which actually gave me what I was looking for. It explained that Umeshu isn't the same thing as plum wine, because Umeshu is made with shochu, which is something we already know. But then, why does the most popular bottle in the US literally say plum wine on it? After reading a few more of their blog posts, I had kind of uncovered a goldmine. The answer became clear. Remember how I said to remember the color of the Umeshu bottle? Well, that's because Choya uses the green bottle to denote a version of Umeshu that uses wine as its base, like Takara Plum does. If you want the real stuff made with shochu, you need the gold bottle, which I've never seen, but I'll definitely be looking for. And they make it real clear who the favorite is, too. They explained that the green bottle was created specifically for the US to deal with the regulatory requirements, which make it difficult to ship and sell liquor made with a distilled spirit like shochu. Then, one paragraph later, they're turning around gushing over how much better the resplendent gold bottle and its ingredients are. At this point, I feel kind of bad for my green bottle. They seem to see it as some kind of necessary evil, but it's good. It doesn't deserve this treatment. They even go as far as to say that they're dedicated to spreading the word of Umeshu, not plum wine. Wow, you really gonna hate on your red-headed stepchild like that? Unless they consider the green bottle Umeshu and not plum wine. I mean, I guess it does say both. I don't know, that distinction's still unclear. But what is clear in all of this is that nobody cares about actually making wine from plums, like fermenting the plums. Nobody's doing this. So, to round all that up, my green bottle of Choya and Takara Plum are not all that different. Both have a wine base, but Choya flavors it with real plums, while Takara adds plum flavor. However, neither of these meet the traditional definition of Umeshu, which uses sochu as the base. To get that, you'll need to go get the more elusive gold bottle. And on that note, I will let you go. But before I do, please do try this drink and let me know what you think of it. I'd really like to know. And I found out that you can actually eat the ume fruit in the bottom of the Choya bottle. And a lot of people really seem to like it, so I figured why not give it a try. This might be white. Okay, there we go. Whew. It's noticeably brown. Does it look the best? I'm not gonna lie. I wonder if it still has a pit in it. Good thing to think of before I actually bite into it, but here we go. Oh yeah. Oh, that's rough, man. So yes, it did still have a pit. And dear God, that was mushy and extremely alcoholic. And I gotta say, the texture's rough. That is not a food texture. That's like I soaked a piece of bread in a bowl of water texture. Which is how you actually feed a baby bird, according to my childhood. It's what my dad told me right before my dog actually ate the bird. Anyway, bye.